The Psychological Reconstruction of Iran. Article 11. The Psychology of Democracy. Why democracy begins before the ballot box. Why do some nations sustain democracy, while others, even after revolution and free elections, drift back into authoritarianism? The answer lies not only in economics, constitutions, or political institutions, but also in the human mind. Democracy begins long before election day, in how people think, regulate emotions, and relate to others. Iran's psychological reconstruction therefore requires cultivating a democratic mindset. The first quality is autonomy. Autonomous individuals think independently, make their own choices, and accept responsibility for them. The authoritarian personality, by contrast, looks for someone else to think and decide on its behalf. The greater the psychological dependence on authority, the greater the likelihood of reproducing authoritarian rule. The second quality is emotional maturity. Fear, anger, humiliation, and revenge often shape political choices. A society unable to regulate these emotions turns political disagreement into personal hostility. Emotional maturity makes it possible to separate feelings from facts, control anger, and respect an opponent's dignity despite profound disagreement. The third quality is tolerance of ambiguity. Authoritarianism promises certainty, dividing the world into friends and enemies, or right and wrong. Democracy accepts that many public questions have no final answers, and that truth often emerges through dialogue and shared experience. Those who tolerate uncertainty are less threatened by differences and more willing to resolve disputes peacefully. The fourth quality is cognitive flexibility, the willingness to reconsider one's beliefs. In a democratic mind, changing an opinion reflects intellectual growth, not weakness. Authoritarian thinking values certainty over truth and resists self-correction. Democracy survives only when citizens are capable of learning. The fifth quality is empathy. Democracy requires the ability to see the world through another person's eyes. Empathy does not mean agreement. It means recognizing that those with different views possess the same dignity and rights. Without empathy, political competition easily becomes hostility. These qualities make possible the peaceful resolution of conflict. Disagreement is inevitable. What defines democracy is how conflict is managed. Democratic societies rely on dialogue, negotiation, compromise, law, and civic institutions rather than exclusion or violence. Democracy is the art of living with disagreement. Trust is equally essential. Democracy depends on trust among citizens, trust in the rule of law, and trust that differences can be managed peacefully. Without trust, even the strongest institutions lose legitimacy. Social trust is therefore one of democracy's most valuable psychological resources. Authoritarianism is not merely a political system, it is also a personality style. People may oppose dictatorship while reproducing domination, intolerance, obedience, and personality cults within families, workplaces, or political organizations. Political transition without psychological change cannot secure democracy. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights can also be understood in psychological terms. It reflects humanity's hard-earned understanding of the damage caused by humiliation, discrimination, hatred, and violence. Respect for liberty, equality, and human dignity is not only a moral principle, but also a foundation for social trust and collective mental well-being. A transitional government must therefore do more than organize free elections. It should strengthen democracy's psychological foundations through education in critical thinking, dialogue, peaceful conflict resolution, human rights, media literacy, and teamwork, while supporting independent media, civic organizations, and public participation. Democracy is not only a political system, but also a set of psychological capacities: independent thinking, emotional regulation, tolerance of ambiguity, cognitive flexibility, empathy, trust, and dialogue. Societies that cultivate these qualities are far better equipped to preserve freedom. The ballot box does not create democracy, it tests it. Democracy begins when people accept that they may be wrong, reject any monopoly on truth, respect the rights of those who disagree with them, and resolve differences through dialogue. Only such a society can both achieve democracy and sustain it. Mahmoud Ashkanian, neuropsychiatrist, PhD.